Hi guys, today I'm going to show you the APM past year on December 2013. Okay, now we are going to look at this particular part of the question which actually touch on evaluating the KPI. Alright, because I think in my previous video I was discussing on suggesting KPI, so what are the do's, okay, and don't. Alright, so what if there is another possibility that the examiner tested quite frequently that is regarding evaluating the KPI? Now we're going to look at this question number 1, alright, from December 2013. So let us look at the question requirement. Okay, we are going to specifically focus on what I intend to discuss with you today. Alright, so that would be on using this question 1 part 2. Uses pest analysis, okay, so not a big issue over here, to identify issues in the company's external environment. Okay, so that means the examiner, the very first thing, wants student to use pest analysis to identify the issues in the company's external environment. And then evaluate, so this is the second part of the question requirement, evaluate the effectiveness of the suggested KPI in addressing this issue. Okay, so wow, 11 marks is provided over here. So now let us look at this question requirement. So PEST, use pest analysis to identify issues in the company's external environment. So I'm going to start with the very first one, political. Okay, so the very first one we have here is political. All right. So when we talk about political, so if you were to look at the question requirement, now I hope you do read through first the question requirement, okay, before you actually watch this video, because it will then be useful. Okay, so now our company is actually Lopten. Okay, we are a manufacturer of washing machine actually. Okay, so now what happened here is this. Our product is actually manufactured and imported from regional manufacturing hub, which is the neighboring country of Kayland. So actually we manufacture in Kayland and we export this to Beeland. Okay, and along the way, if you were to read through the question requirement, now is we notice that the government of Beeland has supported this new entrance with grant and is keen to encourage inward investment by foreign company. Okay, so now this is actually a political factors. So based on my review of students' past answer, now I noticed that a lot of students is able to identify this part. So they actually mentioned that under the political factors, so they say that the government, okay, they actually mentioned government of Beeland provide grant. Okay, nothing wrong over here. So they provide grant to encourage foreign or inward investment. Okay, now however, it should be noted that a lot of students ended their answer at this point. Now this is a poor answer. The question is asking student to use pests to identify issues in the company. Lopten, external environment. So what a student at strategic professional level is expected of is you will need to relate Lopten sell to Beeland from their manufacturing hub in Kayland. So it is the company strategy to manufacture in K land, export to B land. So, if the government is encouraging foreign investment, what does it mean to Lopten? This will attract more competition to Lopten because of government incentive. Not only that, we, Lopten, is not entitled because we are not manufacturing in Bilan, is not entitled to the grant because we manufactured in K-land. So, if we are not entitled, we are at a disadvantage compared to those competitors who receive the grant. So this is what is expected. Okay. So those who receive the grant will be at an advantage. So this is the impact. So at strategic professional level, students are not only expected to explain PAS, your ability to identify issues related to PAS, but to elaborate how does this relate to Lopten. So it is essential that when you attempt your APM questions in exam, you look at the examiner's requirement. Using PAS, they didn't say explain PAS. Using PAS, identify issues in the company, Lopten, in the company. Company here means Lopten's external environment. So for Lopten, the government is giving a grant, we are at a disadvantage. So that's how you should explain. Okay. Now, number 2, evaluate the effectiveness of the suggested KPI in addressing this issue. Okay, so KPI. Now you have a long list of KPI which is provided over here, such as total profits, average sales price, CPU, blah, blah, blah. Now, so I believe at a glance, none of the KPI are related. So I will just tell the examiner, none of the KPI is directly related to the above issue. Possibly, so I believe if we want, we can basically argue on the point of total profit. Possibly the use of total profit may show that those with grant will report a higher profit. So that's the first part on political. Now let's move on to economic factors. Now, if we look at economic factors, now in exam, the very first thing, find the economic factors. So From here, economic factors, B-land. It has recently expanded into B-land, which is a developing country where its income has risen to the point that demand is increasing for Lopten's product and among the growing. So the income of the population is increasing. So I'm going to give you point form only. So income of population in B-land increase. Now, what does this meant to B-land? Now, it means that there will be growing demand for Lopten's product. Okay. Now, in terms of KPI, so what are the relevant KPI? Again, looking at the KPI given, now total profit can be one relevant one. Market share, in fact, market growth is a better one. Okay, so total profit may provide an indication that demand is increasing. Market share. Now, the examiner is asking student to evaluate the effectiveness. Okay, so market share of Lopten is expected to increase. However, a better KPI would be market growth, because when the demand for the product is increasing, so generally the market itself is growing. Now, social. So the social factors. So in this case, we will relate to increasing wealth as a result of an increase in wealth will result in changes to consumer taste. Now, this is where you should relate to the question. Basically, Lopten has two products. A basic product called Cheerful and a premium product called Lopten. So it is expected that there will be a shift in demand from cheerful to posh. So from product cheerful to posh. Meanwhile, for relevant KPI, which KPI might be relevant? The average selling price could be an effective one, because the average selling price should increase as premium product is generally more expensive. Another KPI which may be relevant is market share. So we can observe that there should be an increasing market share for product Porsche as customers start to switch to premium product with their increasing wealth. So increasing market share for product Porsche and a decline for cheerful. And finally, technological. So because of the nature of our product, so we can actually talk about new features for product is essential for the company's competitive advantage. So it is important for Lopten to maintain its competitiveness by having new features. So now, what is relevant KPI in this case? Now, we can actually talk about the consumer awards won, is effective in showing Lopten's ability to meet the customer need, or even contribution per unit may decline with better technological production. So more efficient production. So this may result in a decrease in production costs. So that would wrap up my discussion on the second part of the question, which carries 11 marks. Now I would like to look at part 3 as well. Take each critical success factor in turn and evaluate how the suggested KPI. Now if you look at it again, evaluate how the suggested KPI fits into the critical success factor. So we have 3 critical success factors here. To obtain a dominant market presence, to maximize profits within acceptable risks, and to maintain the brand image for Lopten for above average quality product. Okay, so now the examiner is asking student to evaluate how the KPI, that means which of the KPI given can be related to these 3 critical success factors. Now, let us look at this answer that I have here. I would like to share with you. Okay, so the first critical success factor is to obtain a dominant market presence. So one relevant KPI from the question, dominant market presence. So market share. Look at your company's market share. So market shares would be able to show the success of Lopten in the marketplace, but are you dominant or not is only able to be assessed if we have the market shares of our competitor. So however, to determine whether Lopten is able to achieve a dominant market presence, we need to compare the market share with that of the market leader. So if we know who is the market leader, where we are compared to the market leader, then we will know whether are we dominant or not dominant. Okay. Now, so the second part is maximize profit within acceptable risk. Profit risk. Actually, there are 2 KPI here. That is the profit for each product and also the margin of safety. So the margin of safety you will use to explain risk, and profit for each product will show whether we are able to achieve maximum profit or not. And the third critical success factor is brand image. Maintain brand image for above average quality product. Okay, so maintain brand image. Now, you can actually use consumer award won, because number of award shows the popularity of Lopten. But because the critical success factor is for quality above average, the consumer award won award not necessary for quality. Now, we can also use another KPI, that is quality cost. Total quality cost so Lopten ability to reduce quality costs indicates improvement in quality. So that's all for this video on evaluating KPI. Stay tuned for my next video to help you to pass your APM.